What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Snap on Ego. My name is Brad, otherwise known as Bradser, and I am joined by Chris Bootman, and we have so much fucking shit to talk about. Chris, are you excited? Are you ready?
I'm so excited. I'm more excited than I've been in a while. We got so much to cover. Good news, bad news, everything in between. Let's go.
Now, I was talking about this patch last night to a couple friends who play Snap, and I was kind of going like, hey, if this patch is only a change to Shuri, I'm gonna be so sad. Like, I was worried about that because, like, if you think about it, if it was just a change to Shuri, you're looking at just like, you know, either a dead Shuri deck or a lower powered Shuri deck, and then everything else kind of up in numbers a little bit, and then that's it. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound very interesting to me. But hey, we didn't get that. We got something more substantial and interesting.
Yeah, we got some more, and we'll discuss. We'll go over these individually and see. Just from my experience today, I don't know how much has changed so far. But what I've noticed, though, and I'm newer to card games, is that when there are changes, it seems like it takes weeks maybe for, like, the changes to kind of work themselves in. There's a lot of people, like, they don't want to change and stuff like that. But, yeah, let's jump into these. We'll break them down. And it looks like Shuri's first up on the list for her changes. So, I got it right in front of me. So, Shuri went. Her original was double the power of the next card you play to same power, 4/2. But if you, it's on reveal, if you play your next card here, double its power. So.
Yeah, so there's two things that are key to point out. They, the first one is they gave her the rescue treatment that everyone's been, that's like been the most popular feedback from people saying like what they want to see from Shuri, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know if if it's just second dinner having, great minds think alike kind of thing, or they genuinely looked at that feedback and they're like, that's a pretty good fucking idea after they test around with it. Second, it does not say next turn.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like Rescue or Hawkeye. You can still do the Shuri She-Hulk Taskmaster float thing, right? Which I think is probably going to be the default play people look for. But what do you think?
So here's the thing. So I did a quick reaction video, and I was wondering about that because I was saying like, that's the move, and that's the one that frustrates me, which is where I really need to sit down and get Ghost in some decks, because Ghost cuts that BS out. Because what happens is they float, lose priority, and then you just retreat. But anyways, I had one person on Twitter, I haven't confirmed it yet, they said that didn't work. I'm like, I don't know. So we did.
No, it still works. I played against it.
Cool. So far, like, I like the change because this is to get rid of the Cosmo thing, right? Because what they would do is they'd armor somewhere, their Shuri either under armor or somewhere, then they drop their 26, 24, whatever Red Skull's at currently. They drop that behind Cosmo. So now, let me tell you, Brad, I have won so many fucking cubes today off people playing Shuri. I have won so many cubes. Like, it's like, I don't know if they didn't see the patch notes or what, but so many Shuris are snapping on turn 4. I'm sitting there with this bright, shiny Shang-Chi in my hand, and I don't have priority. I'm like, okay, I snap them back. They drop it. I just blow them up immediately. I have won so many cubes doing that today. It's crazy. So far, I'm a happy camper because I don't think I've lost to a single Shuri today. And I've played a decent amount of games. How about yourself?
I've played Shuri a few times. I also have not lost yet because here's the thing, and we were just talking about, or you just mentioned this, saying it takes a few weeks for people to kind of catch on to and adjust. Shuri's still going to be a good deck. It's still a good card. It's still a great effect. People just need to figure out a better way to kind of build the deck now. Maybe the Sauron version actually ends up being better than it was before. Because that's the one you didn't really play Cosmo in anyway, because you could play armor because you could play it on 2 and then Sauron on 3. So maybe that's the way to go. And I don't know. I think the deck can still be very good. I just don't think it will be as oppressive because, of course, they always had it. They always had armor and the Cosmo and the Shuri and the Red Skull and Taskmaster, and you're like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Now that Cosmo is going to be more of a liability and probably should be cut from most lists because the curve doesn't really work out in your favor anymore, then, I think the deck can be pretty good.
So, fun fact, I've managed to finally pick up my girl's stature. I've been waiting weeks for her to drop, but I've been using Raven's list. Raven's another streamer, content creator, awesome dude. Go follow him. And he's always like, oh man, stature, like best card. So I use his list and it runs Shuri. And man, I've been winning so many games with that deck. But yeah, because you could do so much just with Shuri. Because like, if you get stature down to 1 cost, you can Shuri, and then you can stature, and then you can drop another. Another 1 cost. Or if you have Zabu down, anyways, it's a dope deck. So like, I found a place for Shuri in there because the deck also runs Spider Woman. It runs Black Bolt, so you can do some cool things. So yeah, maybe Shuri will just be more of like a card like which I thought and hoped she was originally intended for, where she just kind of gives a boost and you could toss her in a lot of different decks. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, next up on the list, we got that little green bastard, Leech. So Leech got a nerf. It's an interesting one. I haven't ran into it too much. So his new ability reads, and it's no longer an on reveal. It's just straight up text. It says, at the start of turn 6, remove all abilities from the cards in your opponent's hand. So yeah, a big problem people had was with cheating Leech out, doing it early.
Yeah.
So there are so many nuances to this. I don't know if you've been following the best Marvel Snap Twitter account, the Marvel Snap Bugle.
I have. I've been looking at all the Leech stuff.
So
really cool.
he was Glenn was answering a lot of questions because there's a lot of questions of, okay, how does this work with Mindscape? How does this work with all these other things that have like turn 6 triggers? He's been answering all of them. I'm not a huge Leech player, so I haven't been keeping up much. But overall, just in general, I like it because a lot of people were asking for make it just so it's on the next turn. So this is kind of interesting because for turn 6, that's what they originally intended Leech to do, right? So I think that's closer to their goal, and hopefully it's not as oppressive. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm actually a very big fan of Leech. I know that's controversial. I think it's a really good card for the game. I think it's a necessary card. I've said this in the past, and I've always been like a fan of the idea of like, yeah, just make it only work for turn 6, because if you kill the card and you make it this weird, like now it's like a 2/3 that does like a Iceman thing, it targets a single card, that it kind of feels bad and doesn't really serve the same purpose. And we don't need more cards like Iceman, Scorpion, and stuff like that just kind of like do these little small hits to your hand, or like Baron, that kind of thing. Now the funny thing with the you mentioned the Mindscape thing, for people who aren't aware and haven't seen, the Mindscape thing is that when Mindscape switches your hands, Leech happens after.
Yeah.
So it's Mindscape first, then Leech. So when you give your cards to your opponent, you end up hitting them with Leech, which I think is a really cool thing. Because before, Mindscape is just like, well, fuck, I can't play Leech because I'm just going to hit their cards. I'm going to get the shit cards, and that's going to be kind of bad. The other thing is the opponent will always draw after the Leech. So, and Glenn said he wanted to, there always wanted to be some sense of like doubt or worry for the Leech player. If the game continues, they don't retreat after turn 6, just to be like, the kind of mind games of Snap. I love the change. I think it's great, and I love the fact that it's not an on-reveal anymore. I think that's really cool. I'm excited to see more cards in Snap have these type of abilities where they just do a thing, and you don't have to worry about the on-reveal stuff. Now, we have some stuff that's like not ongoing and things like that, like the Collector is one, but that's not really the space that's super interesting to me. This, for Leech and these type of effects, I find to be incredibly interesting. And I'm curious to see what other cards they could potentially give this treatment or release later on that have this type of effect where there's no on reveal. It's just a static, this will happen. I don't know.
I definitely like that. And this has brought up a few thoughts. So because the meta's gotten kind of stale, and like I hit Infinite the first week, I've been experimenting playing some Legends of Runeterra. And in that game, they have a silence ability. Right. And in Legends of Runeterra, you could target a specific card, So I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if they'll do that with Leech, or if that's something they could do. And I was actually watching, I've been watching the talks that they've been releasing. Like there was one from the producers, then Ben Brode did a talk. And Ben Brode was actually talking about how because this is a mobile first game, they like couldn't do card targeting. So I don't know if that'll ever come to the game unless they like revamp it. But anyways, I was thinking because in Legends of Runeterra, when you silence something, it doesn't feel as bad, right? Because it's like targeting one card. But like you said, and we've talked about in the past, Leech is like this necessary evil, you know? So I understand why it needs to be there. And yeah, I'm happy with this. We'll see how it goes. And it kind of leads into the next card that we got to change from, that little sweet doggy that people didn't expect this to happen, but they did make a change to Lockjaw. So basically the same text. After you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck, but parentheses once per turn. So you taught me Thanos Lockjaw. So what are your thoughts on this? Because they already nerfed Quinjet to make sure you didn't have 0-cost stones, but you can still dump stones into Lockjaw, but not anymore.
Yeah, I think the Lockjaw variant of Thanos is kind of dead now. The flexibility of the stones is one thing, and you only be able to get one, because before if you played, Lockjaw on 3, then you could still potentially play like 3 stones right on them and get value there. So I think that portion of the deck, or that style of deck, is kind of dead. I've seen a lot of people complain that, like, Thor Lockjaw or the Jane Jaw, whatever you want to call it, they feel like that was hit unnecessarily, and it's like now it's dead. And someone mentioned that to Glenn, and he's like, if we thought that this change would affect these kind of decks to where they're unplayable, we wouldn't have made the change. And I agree, because I don't think the Jane Foster one is dead. You know why? How often do you play more than one card in Lockjaw in that kind of deck anyway? It's a very curve-out central deck. You might have your turn 3, Lockjaw with Wasp, that kind of thing. But you don't want to play Thor on Lockjaw. You want to play him on a different lane. And then you want to save your Mjolnir for the Lockjaw if you have the option. One thing I do like about this, actually, is it kind of gives you a bit more playability as the Jane Jaw player. Because now, let's say you get Thor down, and then you go ahead and you have, like, on 5, you draw Mjolnir, and you have Jane Foster. Now you can go Mjolnir and Jane Foster on Lockjaw, get guaranteed value of an 8 power on Lockjaw without it going away, and then redraw Mjolnir for the turn 6.
That's interesting.
And
that's really interesting.
Like, yeah, think about like getting Quantum Tunnel shut down, right? And you can actually play on it. This gives you some, because sometimes what happens with that style deck is you fucking draw your big cards you want to have come out. So now you can play the small cards, but still have the opportunity to, like, if it's the second card you play that turn on that card or on Lockjaw, you can be like, well, I drew the fucking Giganto. I'm just going to play it second, so I guarantee to have that power there. And that can also mess with your opponents, because they'll think, now because it's once per turn, usually in the past, you're not going to really try to contest a Lockjaw lane, because the odds of them getting cheated out, like Chavez, things like that, are fairly high, or at least it feels like it. Now, maybe people are a bit more interested in contesting a Lockjaw lane because of its limitations, but those limitations can be flipped around to be uncontestable all over again. I don't think this is as bad as people think. I think it's a necessary change, especially for the future of Snap. The same way with, like, Quinjet, things like that. They need to future-proof some of these cards, and I think, they're going a good way of doing it. I think the deck's still going to be fine. It's never going to be a top-tier deck. It's too lottery-focused, kind of like Hella, but better than that. But still good.
Yeah, and the whole time you were talking, because you sparked something in me, and I'm going to go on a quick little rant, because all I've heard is people complaining about this. And like you said, like Glenn answered a question, and like some people get sassy with the devs on that Discord when they ask a question. I'm like, I'm like, calm down, be an adult. But yeah, they're like, do you guys even think about the card? Or maybe I just read it like sassy. They're like, you even think about the decks you're ruining, like that get caught in the crossfire and stuff. But you just brought up such a good point. So I'm not a huge Lockjaw player. I did it because Thanos was one of the strongest decks. You know what I mean? So I played a ton of Lockjaw. And anybody who's played a ton of Lockjaw has been in situations where, like, what are you going to do? You're going to have to drop your big card on Lockjaw, and then you don't have anything in your hand. Now, like, that's almost a buff in those situations, right? Like you're talking about, like, dropping that thing, if for some reason, The new Thanos deck I've been playing is the one where you have like Beast in it. You bounce a little and you have like Valkyrie and Professor X and stuff like that. So if you can get a stone down to 0, right? Now I can actually play Thanos on a Lockjaw lane because he's not going to cycle through, you know? I have been in that situation so many times because what you'll do is you'll like Professor X a lane, right? But now I have my Thanos and the only open lane I have is Lockjaw. So now I can like do something like, so everybody out there, quit your complaining. Like the first day of any patch overall too, I think people need to chill out and like see how things go, right?
Yeah, I think people are caught in their own ways a little bit. Like you look at like people focus, same thing with like the Shuri players we've ran into that kind of still do the same plays and get fucked over because of it. You're so used to playing a deck in the same style that it was prior to the changes that the cards have received. You need to adapt and kind of understand, okay, well, this is no longer going to be as optimal of a play because the deck doesn't function this way anymore. How can I make this deck function in a way that benefits the new changes, and how can I build it and change my play structure to actually reflect that? And people tend to just lean way more into, I want the old thing back, rather than, well, let's work with what we got.
Yeah, and that's what's weird too. Like, so everybody listening, that's the fun of these games, right? Is the creativity and changing and stuff. And every meta deck out there, someone created it or they like made adjustments to someone else's. Like, you should try to be that person, right? They change your card. What cool new thing can you do with it, you know? I've really been thinking about that a lot since and I'm just like been on this like kind of Runeterra hype because I haven't played card games in so long. I played Magic in middle school. I've played Snap now that I'm in my 30s, you know? So playing Runeterra, now I have something to compare it to, right? And Runeterra, you have 40 card decks. And to me, I'm like, what? Right? But there's these meta decks, and I'm sitting there, and I'm already like brewing in my head. I'm like, well, with 40 cards, I can easily swap some stuff out, try something a little bit different. And with Snap, it's such a smaller deck, but there's still cool things that you can do. I was listening to some of our competition, KM Best and what is his name, Brendan? Yeah, they have their podcast, and they were talking with Moyen, who's won a bunch of tournaments, and it was a very good competitive talk. And they were talking about like deck building and like stuff. But yeah, Moyen's done some cool stuff with decks. So everybody out there, if they've changed your card, try to get creative. Don't complain. Look at it as a new opportunity, you know? But what else we got here? Okay, I'm going to bundle these two together. They're not massive changes, so let's bundle them together, okay? America Chavez and Jubilee were changed. So, they've changed?
Reverted, actually, if you think about
so
it.
Jubilee, I was not in the beta, but apparently Jubilee has gone back to her old text of add the top card of your deck to this location. All right? So the reason we're bundling these together is because they changed America Chavez to say, starts on the bottom of your deck, draw this on turn 6.
I've wanted this for so long.
Why have you wanted this?
Because I hate the interaction with Yondu and Chavez of like 9 times out of 10 he hits Chavez. And people are thinking it's I saw some people going like saying like it's a nerf to Yondu because of like null interactions, and I'm like, the information that Yondu would give me is like what I would always want more so than anything, because I want to hit a key card.
Exactly.
Hitting Chavez is not a key card. I'm just making their deck function in the exact same way that Chavez was designed to let it function by sniping that. I'm taking away one card in the deck like Chavez effectively already did. And they're still drawing the same rate and the same percentage that they would have without Chavez in the deck at all, right? Or with Chavez in the deck, I'm sorry. So I've always wanted this change. And the Jubilee thing is cool because they're actually looking forward to other cards, like Iron Lad and Howard the Duck. So they want more, they want this, I don't know if you can call it an archetype, but maybe, because there's 3 cards right there, right? Of a deck that focuses on information and looking at the top card of the library. And looking like that. So I'm down. That's cool.
It's interesting because when we talked about Howard and Iron Lad and stuff, we were talking about like, should you even get Iron Lad if you don't have Howard? You know what I mean? Like the C and stuff. But
yeah, they basically go together. Like you need them.
Like I don't know. I've been actually thinking about that a little bit more because, and since you bring up Magic sometimes on here, I'm going to be bringing up Runeterra. So there's a thing called Predict in there, right? Where you get to pull 3 cards from your deck, take a look at them, you choose one, and then your deck gets shuffled, right? But anyways, what I'm learning the strategy of that is.
Does it go to hand? Is it drawn, or is it
some of them let you? It does draw the next turn, but some of the cards that predict let you draw it that same turn. So it'll just pull it out.
So that for those who play Magic, that is essentially Scry or Surveil.
See, there we go. We get some cross pollination.
Think of opt. Think of consider. There you go.
So one of the strategies is you get to look at it and then you say, okay, here's what I don't want to pull, right? So maybe you'll like skip it and not actually draw the card or whatever. But anyways, what I'm getting at is maybe that's like some kind of strategy that Second Dinner is looking forward to with Howard the Duck. Iron Lad is kind of like thinking about what's in your deck and the possibilities. And now I guess you know for a fact it's not going to be America Chavez. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
I want to stay on one more thing with Chavez. I guess I have 2 quick things. One with Jubilee. I do like the interaction with Howard the Duck quite a bit because if you tap him and look at the top card, now you can determine if you want to play Jubilee and then effectively ramp. You get that information. Because now I think there's a reason that you would want to maybe get Howard the Duck first and then Iron Lad second. Because you have a card that functions nicely with it coming out, or it's already out, is in Jubilee. Because if I look at the top card and I'm like, oh, it's an Iron Man, I'm going to want to play Jubilee and ramp into it because like you're saving mana, right? Or energy, sorry. But the second thing, when it comes to Chavez, now being on the bottom of your library, if you are playing Cable, kind of sucks if you go against a Chavez deck, because now you're effectively always taking Chavez.
Does Cable pull from the bottom?
Yes, Cable pulls from the bottom of the opponent's library.
Does he?
Yeah.
Put the bottom card of your opponent's hand into your... Whoa! That's weird. Because I've actually been playing some Cable lately.
So Cable's now going to... If you're going against a Chavez deck, Cable's now going to grab Chavez 100% of the time in those instances. Otherwise, it's going to be the same as normal, but if they're playing Chavez, then you get a Chavez. That's interesting.
But this is going to be interesting too, like just the interaction with like Iron Lad and like Jubilee. I wonder if Jubilee is going to see a lot of play with these cards coming out and the changes they've made.
I would think so. I think that's a nice core of 3 cards right there to kind of build around and then mess around and see what you want to do with the early stuff. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I definitely.
And Jubilee's still random. I don't think it's a nerf. I've seen some people be like, well, it's different. Well, not really, because you don't know what the top card is anyway. So it's effectively the same thing. It's just like, it's the illusion of more RNG and more high roll because it's completely random. It's 1 out of 8 remaining cards rather than 1 of 1. So I still think
this is really cool. Like Howard the Duck, I was kind of meh on, but with this Jubilee change, I'm definitely stoked, right? Because Howard's a 1 cost. So you put Howard down, and then you have Jubilee. You can play her on 4, 5, or 6, and you just keep tapping Howard. You're like, what do I got? What do I got? And you know for a fact what she's gonna pull.
Iron Lad is a 4, right?
No, I think I just pulled him up. He was I think he's a 5. Iron Lad. Iron Lad's a 4.
So this is why I like this a lot, because Jubilee's also a 4. Now with Howard in play, you can make the decision. Would you rather have... Because sometimes, you want to draw the card because you want to just take the ability with Iron Lad, right? And then just play the card again. So if you have Iron Lad and Jubilee in hand, you can be okay, what's better? Getting this card on the field for free? Or maybe if I want to have duplicates of it, like an Iron Man type of situation, then you have that option as well. So I love the flexibility of that. It's super, super subtle and not going to make into huge differences every single game. But in the games where it matters, it's going to matter quite a bit.
Yeah, that's nuts. Like, I just got my 8,000 Kitty Pryde tokens. So next month, this whale's gonna be doing some spending. I'm still not 1,000% sold on High Evolutionary
Iron Lad. Oh yeah, I think that's gonna be really cool, and we'll see. I'm just if it's a big bad, then I'll make myself get it because I've gotten all the other ones, and I feel like it's the best economic choice in the game. But if it's not, I'll probably wait till it's 3,000. Like a lot of
I always say, like, my philosophy on spending tokens is, like, is it going to be competitive? And then, like, is it something fun and it's going to change things up, you know? And, like, that's definitely something High Evolutionary does, but we'll see. Because
Well, High Evolutionary is a card you need other cards for, right? You need like, thankfully, like Sunspot, things like that, the energy floating synergies, those you can probably, you should have most of these. But if you want to go with the Luke Cage, Hazmat, Afflict style, then don't get this if you don't have those cards, if you want to play that style, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping that people find something really creative to do with High Evolutionary where you're not just putting all of those cards, the effects in a deck where it's just like one or two. Because, for example, that Stature deck I've been playing, it has Ghost Rider in there, but it's only for like 2 cards, right? It's for Moon Knight and it's for Black Cats in there too, right? So like so he's just kind of in there for a couple other cards. So like High Evolutionary maybe slipped into a deck with a couple other cards. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, let's discuss the last change, which was, I guess, a surprise, kind of not, but they realized they goofed, and that's with our buddy Leader. So Leader, his text got changed. Well, both his text and his power. So they took him back. He was originally a 6'2", right?
6'3". No, he was a 6'4".
Oh, was
6'4",
he?
And then he got dropped to a 6'3".
Dang. So they took him down to a 6'2", and his new text says, copy the enemy card Z with the highest power played this turn, but on your side. And even in the dev comment is kind of funny. It says, we were clearly too harsh on Leader with his previous nerf, and we were dismayed that action became a go-to example for how ruinous a nerf can be. All right, so they brought him back similar to his previous form, but it only copies the highest power one. I think that's pretty good. I have faced a few Leaders today, and it's kind of caught me off guard. I don't play decks with like super high power cards though, so I think they like copied like a Shang-Chi or something like that. But I do like this because this is something we wish we had pre-Shuri nerf, right?
Yeah, this actually would have been pretty nice to kind of help contest the lane, because especially if they're doing the floating thing on turn 5, like you said, the one problem with that, with your Shang-Chi and Valkyrie, things like that, they lose priority because they float, and then they're hard to interact with in that sense. But if they have lost priority and that means you're winning, then in this Leader in that sense should win that lane against at least one of them, well, the She-Hulk lane, and then you just have to win one other lane. So that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
I dig it, and I'm wondering too. I know right now KM Best is doing everything he can to find out what the best Leader deck is, but like, I'm wondering. I don't know if it's like, it's back to kind of like one of those turn 6 tech cards. Maybe it's good against like this Sandman thing that's been happening like crazy.
I think it would be. Actually, I think Sandman probably plays Leader now.
No, that too. That's the other thing I've seen people discussing. So I'm happy with it. Like I said, I was one of the biggest Leader haters in our Discord. We had a whole channel for I Beat Leader, posting it in there, and just like, these are people I would emote spam because I hated it. But once he was nerfed and other things came out, that's when I completely changed my opinions about nerfs. That's why I didn't complain about Leech. But real quick, before we segue into this next topic, what are your thoughts on Sandman? Because I hear people complain about it so much, and like, I want to complain about it, but because of what I just said, I'm not going to, because I understand why Sandman needs to be there. But as somebody who loves bounce style decks, dumping and stuff, it's very annoying, and it seems like with today's patch, I've been seeing it so much more. And I don't know, like, I don't think they're going to do anything to Sandman, because they just did something to Sandman, you know? I don't know, but we haven't discussed this on the side. So what are your thoughts on that whole thing going on?
The community needs a scapegoat, right? They need, now that Leech got changed, now the next one they got to worry about is Sandman, and I think it's it's misplaced. Sandman's not a problem. I have beaten Sandman decks plenty of times because, frankly, the early game is kind of bad. It's the late game, and if they can get Sandman on 4 with like Electra and that kind of thing, or Wave, that's where they kind of thrive. And yes, of course, if you're playing a bounce deck, if you're playing a deck like Death Wave, something that's going to like want to play multiple cards on the last turn, yeah, that's your bad matchup. But it fucking should be. Like, we shouldn't be in games where you are able to freely do whatever you want every single game, every single time. And this is the thing that I don't understand about people clamoring for nerfs. Sandman is obviously going to be 10%, 15% of the meta. Because it needs to be, as long as Hitmonkey and eventually Kitty Pryde, when she comes back next month, those decks are probably going to be a decent amount of the meta as well. And because Shuri's been changed, we might see less of that, probably, which means we'll probably see more decks that are inclined to play more than one card on the last turn. So Sandman needs to be there, just like Leech needed to be there. It's your bad matchup. Fucking retreat.
No.
Because it's not a very unique, it's not an ununique deck structure, right? You can kind of tell pretty early if it's a Sandman deck, because it's either one of two things if you're playing this bounce deck, okay? When you see the early plays and you see something like Electro, right, or Wave, your first thoughts, if it's not on turn 5, that Wave comes down. Your first thoughts, which, by the way, if it's turn 5, then it's Death Wave, and you should already know it's Death Wave or some form of that because of the previous cards. But if you see these ramp cards on turn 3, then it should either be Galactus or Sandman. Both of them are probably less than favorable matchups for you regardless. So unless you feel so goddamn confident in your hand. And then, of course, what do we talk about when Hitmonkey came out? You need to be aware and okay with playing him not on turn 6 and making him a 2-4 or a 2-6. Like, you're playing into the trap yourself. It's like you punch yourself in the face and then blamed your opponent. They're just playing the deck as it's designed, and you're not making the changes when you see the information in front of you that you need to dump your hand before turn 5 or turn 4 or even on turn 4, and plan ahead to stagnate your fucking curve by one at a time.
That's kind of been my thing. I'm like, is it a realistic expectation that you should never face a deck that just perfectly counters yours? Like, is that a realistic expectation? Like, that's like saying, like, I should be able to have fun in this game and always win, and nobody else should. Nobody else should be able to do that unless they play my deck.
And it's like that in every game. It doesn't matter if it's a TCG. It doesn't matter if it's any competitive slanted game has counters. That's the point of the game. You can't have everyone at top fucking level doing all the things they want to at one time and then just like fucking doing like a big CGI Marvel fight in the movie where it's just lasers pointing at each other and it's like, who's going to win? Someone. Like, you need someone to counter things. Like League of Legends, Smite. There's any game, or even like Rainbow Six Siege I've mentioned, any of these games that have like especially bans, like picks and bans, like kind of thing, like before the game starts, you choose your team comp based on the bans, and then you see what the other people are picking to as you go one by one. You're like, okay, we need to counter that, and then you bring in like heal for a healing god or champion. Like, just fucking, it's in every game. It's in every game.
Yeah, so people need to buck up, get used to it. So Brad.
Evolve or
my
die.
cat is screaming for me to let her out of the room, but let's transition into these brand new leaked cards. Get us started. I'll be back in 2 seconds. We got some amazing leaked cards, and both you and I, as Spider-Man fans, very excited.
So we have my favorite Spider-Man, which is Miguel, Spider-Man 2099. He is a 4/5, and he says the first time this card is moved to a location, destroy a random enemy card here. So a nice thing of like going, turn 3 Iron Fist plus something else, finishing on Iron Fist, and then turn 4 you get like effectively a Shang-Chi, but similar to what was it, Deathstrike? Whatever, we saw that lead card that's 6/4 that destroys
Lady
the highest power card. Lady, yeah. So it's like that, which I think people think too much in terms of Shang-Chi of like, you're not destroying a really super big thing. Like, okay, fine. You're still killing something. Like Gambit feels good when you kill something randomly.
And it gives that kind of
why would this not
and that excitement and that dread at the same time.
Dude, I think Move is gonna be pretty fucking good. I'm holding out hope. I've
never been a fan of Move. I've always, like, since I started playing this game, I'm like, man, this is the most predictable style. But I'll tell you this too. Recently, I have found Move less predictable. People are switching it up a little bit. It's not always a turn 6 Heimdall. Sometimes people are switching it up. Yeah. But anyways, just because I'm such a major Spider-Man fan, like, and looking at these cards, like Spider-Man 2099, like, I'm gonna be a moving guy, because this looks awesome. Especially if they don't know when he's gonna come out to play, like where you're gonna move him, when, when, like, it'll be nuts. But they also have, I don't have it in front of me, they have some leaked locations as well. And even the locations for that month are, I think at least one of them, maybe two, are move related. It's like move a random card here for each player or something. There's
Aunt May's house, which is the first card that you play on this location, moves and then gains +3 power. So Vulture jumping to an immediate 11 power card if you play it on it is really cool. And then of course getting the synergy of Miguel. And the other one was a bit weirder. I'm actually blanking on it. There was another. It was like slightly move related. I am blanking completely on it.
Here we go.
Really weird.
So Great Web. Great Web is after each turn, move one card to the web for a random player. And then Aunt May's is the first card you play here gets +3 power. So the Great Web, it'll after each turn move one card. That's kind of crazy. So
I really think this, and then we have Spider-Gwen eventually. We have what's another move we're getting? We're getting the Silk. So okay, I love the flavor that it's all Spider-Men and Spider-Women, I guess, that are getting these. It makes me kind of wish that the original Spider-Man had some kind of move flavor to him.
That's where I'm kind of, I don't know. I guess we'll let,
because the web swinging and like the agileness of and the athleticness of just Spider-Man in general, all of them, it makes sense to be move centric. Now I also love, and this is something I've always loved very much, and it makes me a little sad that original Peter Parker is the one that isn't move related, because it kind of messes with this flavor a little bit. You got Human Torch, right? Johnny Storm as a move card, who is canonically Peter Parker's best friend, like as superheroes, like original 616 Peter Parker. Of course, Harry Osborn, all that shit. But like, as far as superhero buddies are concerned, he always goes to Johnny, and like they're really good friends. And that is so cool to me that he's also a move, but then Peter Parker's not. All the other Spider-Men are. And Spider-Pig's not, I guess.
I think they thought about it later. They're like, oh man, let's make them all like move. Like they found this like synergy since they're doing all these themes and stuff. But what's crazy too is with you know what is a great counter to Spider-Man? Literally anything that moves. So it's like all the other Spider-Man things, like they'll be able to move into that locked location. But so speaking of, so then we got Gwen, which or Ghost Spider, which we believe is the season pass card. The last card you played moves here, and then Silk is after any card is played here, this moves to another location. So that's going to be wild, right?
Yep. Then there's one more. There's the 3/1 that gets +1 every time it's moved.
3/1.
It's not. I don't think it's Spider-Man related.
Blink. Is that what it was?
Blink. Yeah. Yes.
You know what? Okay, so this is gonna be nuts.
Also, why is Quicksilver not fucking
they
related?
Get us in there. Dude. Talk to them about some of this.
Some of these flavors are like they're great, and I understand some people are like, oh, Mystique and Taskmaster should be mixed or flipped. No, they should not. That flavor is correct. Taskmaster predicts the moves and the fighting style of the opponent and then uses it against them. Equal power. Mystique takes the form of a card and disguises another one and makes and can even use some abilities of them. So Mystique makes sense in that sense as well. So fuck off.
Get that out of here.
I've seen these threads on Reddit so many times, and that's always one that's mentioned. I'm like, that's good flavor. Stop. But but Spider-Man not so much.
I'm wondering, do you think we'll start seeing a lot of Kingpin? And Kingpin, that kind of works perfectly with these, right?
Oh yeah, it's part of the Spider-Man
so perfect counter
and stuff, right? And Vulture as well.
Oh yeah. So the thing that sucks about Kingpin, but I understand because it would be way too powerful, is that he's only turned 6. It's predictable. I for some reason I always thought, like, before I ever used him, I always thought it was me too.
Turn, and I was like, that's
my son
cool.
is.
Maybe
my son is
good.
actually the one who enlightened me on that. He's like, he's only turned 6. I'm like, oh yeah, like I never use him, but I
yeah, like my dumbass arrow's on 5. And I'm like, gotcha. And then they're just like, what? And I'm like, oh.
I do like how, even though it is only turn 6, it is something like you put it out there and say, okay, everybody messing around with these spider cards, like you have something to worry about now. You know, so it's basically locking down a location or limiting what they can do. But
to be fair, as far as flavor is concerned, I don't mean to cut you off. The Spider-Man universe, as far as like villains and stuff like that, it's kind of all over the place. Do you know what one of my favorite Spider-Man villains is? And it has like the strangest flavor. I mean, it makes sense in terms of the card, but it doesn't make sense in terms of like all the grouping of Spider-Man. It's Swarm. Did you know Swarm was a Spider-Man villain?
Swarm, really?
Yeah, the Master of the Bees. He's a skeleton with bees. And shit.
Let me see. I'm looking that up. Oh shit.
He's a Spider-Man.
Yeah, the
villain.
First image that popped up on Google is actually one of the variants. So that's super interesting. Yeah.
Swarm is so fucking cool as a villain. It's one of those B-list villains. It's not as bad as Big Wheel.
I've never heard of Big Wheel.
Do you know about Big Wheel? Oh my god, he's just a dude in a big wheel. he's like a throw. They redid him in a different run later on. He was originally like in like the 60s or 70s. Was a random ass villain that's basically in like a giant.
These images are hilarious.
Yeah, they kind of redid him to make him a bit more like badass, I guess. But there's a bunch of really weird Spider-Man villain. I would say Swarm is like one of those B tier, like can be, a threat, but not as big as one. It's not your Vulture, your Green Goblin,
not the Sinister Six,
or Doc Ock. Oh, he's definitely not a part of that squad. He's going to be probably not much of a good guy. Everyone's kind of worried about the bees.
But the last one I am very excited about. This is probably the one I'm most hyped about, and probably because I love other games that have a similar ability. But this is Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham on reveal. Transform the highest cost card in your opponent's hand into a pig, keeping its power and its cost. So, yeah.
It's like that. There's your targeted.
That's your targeted leech.
There you go.
So those of you listening, you can't see this, but it turns into this very confused looking cartoon pig, and that is going to be hilarious. I cannot wait to do this. And Spider-Ham it shows he's a 1/1. So by the way, all these things are subject to change, blah, 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 blah. But man, if I could like Moon Girl this thing, make copies of it, if I could Absorbing Man it, I am just going to have, so like people have been like, the way most people have been excited about Jeff, that's how I am about this card. I cannot wait. Cause like, for example, what I was getting at is like, I used to play a lot of MOBAs like Dota, League of Legends and stuff. Like when you get to just like polymorph someone and they just like don't know what to do and they gotta like just kind of squirm away. I imagine that's what's going to be happening. So Spider-Ham, I cannot wait.
That's a pretty fun one. Yeah, I like it. It's not a card I'm going to really be interested in too much. I think it's a cool card. The only thing I will say though is it'd be so cool. It'd be so cool if Second Dinner can get John Mulaney
do a voice line,
reprise his role of Spider-Man and do the voice lines.
That's the only thing that bums me out. Like speaking of, right? Like especially with Across the Spider-Verse coming out, like it sucks that we're only getting these, right? Because there's just so many. There's so many different variations they could do.
Well, I mean, think about it. We're getting a lot. It seems like a lot. So we're getting, Miguel. We're getting Spider-Ham. We're getting Gwen. We're getting Silk, right? There's 4, right? And it's one of those things where I think a lot of people are going to be really salty if you're not as big of a fan of Spider-Man, and like especially a fan of like the the different variants of Ghost Rider. Like we see that as an actual variant, being what's his
Reyes?
name? So we got Robbie as an actual variant version, not his own card. People were upset about Throg, being a variant and not his own card, because he's like friends with Lockjaw, right? Has his own little storyline and stuff like that. So Spider-Man, it's kind of spoiling a bit for us as fans of those comics.
Because he's the best.
Because we're getting actual cards.
We picked the best.
Well, of course, he's
the best one.
He is the most profitable superhero of all time. He's the number one in everything, above Batman and Superman. I think those are numbers 2 and 3, by the way. But it's Spider-Man. And it's actually not particularly close last time I checked in terms of like mass, like generational value and revenue. It's fucking insane. I mean, look, I got a Spider-Man shirt. You got a Spider-Man shirt on your wall. I got a Spider-Man shirt on my wall. Like I know the Spider-Man thing over there. I got a Spider-Man thing you can't see right there. Like, dude, it's fucking. I got shit knickknacks and stuff over there on the counter that you can't see. I got shot glasses and drinks put away in like a box. Dude, it's so easy.
You know, and to be fair, like this is only one round, right? Like the next time a Spider-Man movie comes out, whatever sequels come out, they have the opportunity to do it again. But like to what you're saying though, with like Throg and like Robbie Reyes. We have seen comments from Second Dinner that they do have major Marvel fans in there, and it's just like I just wonder if they have those conversations, right? Like when they're going to release a variant.
Well, yeah, they said they do.
Yeah, but are they just like we never want a Robbie Reyes? Like screw that. That's never going to be something.
Well, they said it's based on popularity.
Oh, is it?
And I guarantee if Snap came out they said like the more popular like variants should get their own cards. And while they say that like Robbie Reyes has like, you know, a decent following of like his run of the comics and his appearance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's not any of the other Spider-Men. Now, if I would argue if this was a few years ago and Snap was a bit older of a game before, you know, Into the Spider-Verse came out, I would argue that a lot of these Spider-Men would be just variants and not their own cards. Because that movie really brought up the popularity of a lot of these other types of characters. Before it was just, you know, 616 Peter Parker, and even Miles, his comics were never that great. Like it really, his best rendition of his character is honestly from these movies. And it's more fleshed out. That's saying
I wasn't like, I was familiar with Miles just because I love the suit. I love the black and red. But yeah, the movie, and then he got his own game too on PlayStation. So definitely upped his value. Yeah. All of you other fans of other heroes, just hope they get better and get more hype, or you're not going to see too much of them in this game, right?
Well, before we move on, real quick, give me a Spider-Man character, villain or otherwise, that you want to see as a card more than anything that hasn't been leaked or spoiled.
Why are you going to put me on the spot? I think it was on one of Drew Barry's videos with the custom cards, but they had a Tombstone one, right? I don't know if he's I love
his dumbass face.
I don't know if he's like
so
one
cool.
of my favorite, but I saw that, I'm like, that would be cool. Something he could do. But yeah, just as far as like the Spider-Verse goes too, like I would love to see I don't know, I'd like to see more like what about, I don't remember the name. Oh no, Spider-Man Noir. I would love that. I would love Spider-Man Noir up in here.
Bring back Nick Cage, too.
There you go. Get him to do a voice line. He would. He signs up for everything, you know? Is there anybody off the top of your head that you would love to see from the Spider-Verse?
Chameleon.
Oh, yeah.
Chameleon.
Okay, what would his ability be?
Easily.
Because we got Morph, we got Mystique.
You got Morph, you got Mystique, you got Taskmaster. It's really hard to actually narrow it down of like what it could be. So we have ability copying, we have straight up card copying from a hand. Maybe it's Morph, but from deck
or board, right?
Yeah, or board, like random one here. Yeah, I think board makes sense. I don't know what you would cost him though, because I don't know because he probably would have to be more than Morph, right? Because Morph is random because you don't know what's in the hand. Where on board you have an idea of like what you could hit, so maybe a 4 cost. I don't know if that'd be very good. I don't, or maybe it could be a friendly card that it copies.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Mystique, but it's random.
Yeah.
But we're also getting random at some point, which I think is going to be a pretty bad card.
You know what's funny too? As we're talking about this, from the data mines, we also have J. Jonah Jameson coming from the Spider-Man verse, and then that Uncle Ben.
Well, that was supposed to be a April Fool's card that never
Is that
came
what
out.
it was? Like they were never planning.
Yeah, because it made your emotes angrier, and there was leaked variants of the emotes that would change.
So it's not actually coming. I would never buy it in a million years. It was like a 1/1 or something like that.
No, it was supposed to. It was labeled as April Fool's something. It was supposed to come out for that.
Well, what about the Uncle Ben card?
Oh, that one's so fucking stupid. I think that's such a bad card. If that's really what the flavor is, so hilariously funny. But it's if he dies, you get a Spider-Man. Now the question is, does he just conjure a Spider-Man, or does he grab one that's in your deck already? Because those are two very different things. But like also, it's just strange. It's a strange card. Like if you'd want to play him in a destroy deck or something like that, he has a 1/1, so you could Killmonger him. But like, what deck that has these destroy synergies wants Spider-Man randomly?
Yeah.
It's a very strange card. I hope they change it into something else. Like, I don't know. Maybe give him a Bucky Barnes treatment where when he dies, he flips into Spider-Man, but like a different power structure.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, like real quick, I know we only got one more topic to cover, but I'm curious your thoughts on this, because this has been a conversation around Snowguard recently, and just even talking about J. Jonah Jameson or Uncle Ben. The current release model, this has been coming up so much with Snowguard. Yeah, because Snowguard is just like I've been the biggest Shadow King defender, right? And I'm finally glad that Snowguard is here to take the throne as like one of the worst cards. Like everything potentially cool about that card is just terrible, right? Like it just doesn't work or whatever. But anyways, with Second Dinner releasing everything in Series 5, like they can't even release just like a fun, silly card, right? Because it's 6,000 tokens. You gotta wait a month. Is it a month or two for it to drop to 3,000 tokens? Yeah. And then even longer. So I don't know. I don't know if you've been hearing those things since Snowguard. I know KM Best made a video about it. I know a couple other people, and it was just specifically Snowguard. Like that triggered people. One person I saw was just saying they need to do the model that other card companies do, which is release a ton of cards at once. Kind of like they did when the token shop first came out.
Yeah, I would like that. I'd like to see like a set of cards come out. And like, I think that's the cool, the thing is, I'm thinking of like Magic in terms of like a set, and that's like 200 plus cards, and a lot of it's like draft chaff and stuff like that. So you don't have to do it in that way. You can just target like your rares and mythics. And what bothers me is someone asked this question. Also, by the way, I asked this question on the Discord, and then the mods deleted my question. But then someone else asked it in a slightly different way, and then Glenn answered it, so they didn't delete it. But whatever. Where they asked is like, why do cards have to be Series 5? Can't they just sometimes release Series 4, Series 3? And the argument I made is like, when all these cards dropped in the first place, a few months ago, when we get that first batch, we got Series 5 and Series 4. Why do they all have to be Series 5? Give us some Series 3 or Series 4, also Series 3. I stand by that too. I think and their argument is they want there to be focused excitement on a card, and then you have it once a week, and it's like in their mind it generates more excitement. The problem with that is I might be inclined to agree with them if they didn't cost 6,000 tokens. Like if they weren't, and also if the pull rate wasn't 1%.
Yeah.
Like it's actually, I think it's lower. It's 0.5%, isn't it, for a Series 5?
No, I think point. Is it a little point?
And then it's 1.5 for something like that for a Series 4? I think
it's like 0.25. Yeah, for the Series 5.
No, it's lower. 2.5 is for 4.
Is it?
Series 5 is like 0.5. I'm 99% sure it's 0.5%.
We'll look that up. Somebody leave a comment. But yeah, it's insanely low. Like
that like it costs too much. It's too low to pull a card. And then they're staggered, and then you're waiting for a week to get a card that you think is interesting. And then when the cards that are interesting that you might not think are meta defining, like Spider Pig and a lot of people's minds, maybe Jeff, things like that. Like why would you spend the money on it?
Here's the only thing, like I 100% agree. Here's the only thing that'll change my mind. I think this month is going to be a crucial month because we just had so many huge cards drop down to Series 3. Bast, Valkyrie, my boy Super Skrull seeing some more play, but mainly, and Shuri. But those 3 cards, like, people, because that's why I've wanted more access to these cards, because you give it to more people. We have more creative people who might be able to do something with them. So if that pops off, then I'll be like, I will be a huge advocate, like, hey, Second Dinner, you need to do something about this, you know, like maybe even like they've done, because remember how we all used to complain about there's no like affordable bundles and stuff. And now they're like giving us some variety. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you want some variants? Here's a very expensive bundle. Hey, we got a Token Tuesday, spend $10, get, you know, extra tokens, some credits. So maybe like they'll do a test run of like, hey, we'll release a batch of cards, just all Spider-Man, but just release like a batch of cards. But it was very exciting when they released all those cards at once. Some Series 5, some Series 4. Some people got some free tokens to get them rolling. Like that was a really cool time. But yeah, like when you're talking like Magic, I was watching a video the other day and they showed how many Magic cards come out, and it was like 200 and then like 300, and I'm like, there's not... Yeah,
a standard set is around 250-ish.
Yeah, I'm like, there's...
Now, of course, there's rarities of common, uncommon, rare, and mythic, and you have about 20, 25, maybe 30 rares, 15 to 20 mythics, and the rest are uncommon and commons. And a lot of those cards have their place in Draft, which is a format that'd be cool to have in Snap. And that's the reason they exist, is because they're lesser powered, they're more frequent, you want to have the limited environment be cool. And then a lot of the cards, even the rares or mythics, might be designed for other formats, not competitive 60 card formats, but like Commander and things like that. Now Oathbreaker. So that's one thing with Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all these other things, like where they have big sets. I'm not saying we have to do that kind of level. Of course not. Like the structure of the game is 12 card decks, not 60 card decks, but something more. Just a little more.
And we'll see. It's definitely something that they're getting like major feedback about. But since playing Runeterra and seeing how many cards, because you know, Magic is the same too, right? Like you have land cards and stuff like that, right? Like in Runeterra, there's land cards or location cards or whatever. You also have like spells. So you have like characters, you have spells, you have land. Like in Snap, it's a much
Magic's the same way. So is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, so Snap is a much different game, and they meant it to be quick. You're only playing a hero or a villain, right? That is just that one card. You have a 12-card deck. So that's why I think like this large batch thing might not work. But they do have...
Even Lorcana is going to be like that too.
Really?
The Disney game coming out. They're instead of calling it lands, it's ink. And they're taking the Dragon Ball Super card game approach. I don't know off the top of my head of other card games that do this. I'm sure they are. Maybe like Vanguard or something. But Dragon Ball Super, the way it works is like you mentioned, like lands, and like Pokemon is energy. Runeterra has lands as well, and Magic has lands, of course. And that's your mana output. You can play one a turn unless a card says otherwise. Dragon Ball Super, all your cards are normal. But you can choose to play one a turn upside down, and that counts as your land, your energy producer. Lorcana is going to be the same way. You play it face down. So you choose between your cards being energy producers or your normal cards, and then Lorcana is going to have items, and then they're going to have like spells, and then characters. So Snap is in a very unique position. And I understand they say it's a mobile game first, and I'm sure that makes them the most money by being a mobile game. But man, I kind of wish they'd say we're going to move a little bit away from that philosophy and try to enter the space of more competitive.
I will. I'll say this: I just made a video on it since playing so much Runeterra the past week. This would be a great video for you to do too. But I made a video on features from Legends of Runeterra that I wish was in Marvel Snap. But I really realized how much of an advantage a lot of these other games have because they've been around. Like Magic, like I said, I played that 30 years ago, so they've had time. But like with what you're saying, hopefully Snap moves more towards that. And there might be a day, like maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, where the Marvel Snap we know is like some just random mode that you could play, right? Where, you know, there's just, they expand it and it's just, you know, whatever. But I will say, I do love that Snap is very fast paced. I could just sit down. Like now I have 2 games to go back and forth with. If I only have a little bit of time, I'm just busting out some Snap games, right? I'm like, I can't play a whole like Runeterra game. But also, the other thing I've been thinking about a ton, because Runeterra is made by Riot, one of the biggest video game companies, right? Like League of Legends have popped off for them. But Second Dinner is very small too, right? So I think they're also limited. So I think about their art design team, the people that, you know, the people who code, the people who even come up with card ideas. So I don't know if as they grow as a company, they'll have the capacity to do more things like that. Cause I don't know if everything's just purely limited to just them like Ben Bro being like money, 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 right? Maybe they're also limited by the size of the company too. But it has been a huge complaint. So we'll see where it goes.
You mentioned, what's it called? You mentioned that you think this month is going to be like the most impactful month for like their potential of changing how they get cards and stuff like that, or at least like seeing people like be creative with cards. I would argue that next month is going to be that.
What?
Because next month's patch, everyone is getting Kitty Pryde for free.
So you're jumping at.
This is the first time everyone's getting like a card straight up, no matter what your collection level is. That is massive because now you're going to see, because Kitty Pryde was out for like what?
Not
a week
even, dude.
It was taken
days. Down? It was 2 or 3 days. It was
within a week. It was between 2 and 7 days.
It was traumatic for
anything. But now, so there's already limited information on what Kitty Pryde can do and what she showed she can do. And now every single player is going to get her for free. And now you're going to have all this data. Fuck the idea of like, her play rate's going to be low. And then you have to take it with a grain of salt of like how much she's being played and where she's being played and what levels, yada, yada, yada. No. Fuck that. That's out the window. Now we have data on a card that is played at every single possible fucking level, from collections of pool 1 to even the starter, if you're just getting to the game, to pools 2, 3, pool 3 complete, that pool 2.5. Like, this is going to be so massive. And the feedback that players give, almost said Wizards, I was thinking of Magic, the Second Dinner, and the information that they get from the play patterns and the play rates, yada, 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 of this card is going to really, in my mind, give them a definite like idea of like, do we need to change our model of this card release a little bit, because we saw what it means to people to get a card for free. I'm not saying give every card for free, though. Maybe one a month or something. Like you got to give your players a crumb of something. And this, is
like that one time they gave us all like 50 credits or something like that, and like that was ridiculous. But yeah, so Brad perfectly transitioned to our final topic of the Kitty Pryde compensation. So those of you who didn't get the news, everybody, you get a kitty, we all get a kitty. All right. I, and anybody else who bought it, you should have in your inbox now 8,000 tokens as well as a Kitty Pryde, avatar, which I'm not going to use because I just use Miles Morales because he's my boy. But
also not exclusive. It's going to be released with the next patch and everyone can unlock it normally. They just wanted to give something cool to people that had
like, hey, I'll take the extra 2,000 tokens, but
that's the big thing.
I think you're exactly right. That was something else I was thinking of as I was just saying that too, because I agree with everything you're saying, because not only are they going to have more data, but I'm a huge data nerd and I've worked in marketing for a while. Shout out to Molly from marketing, by the way, at Second Dinner. We were having problems with Jeff today and she helped all his creators out, made sure we got him in the shop. But if they see people spending a little bit of money out of like appreciation, I know they're going to be looking at the metrics. Are people going to be playing more, because they have something shiny and new to play with? If these other things, and if that can trickle into something else, that'll be so huge. Like on our end, maybe we'll see some more creativity, and stuff. But what I try to do, cause they just did a survey last month, I try to rally everybody up, like let your voices be heard. If you appreciate this, thank them, because they're watching, they're listening. So all of you listening right now, when that kitty comes to your inbox, if you play her, if you like it, let them know. Because yeah, like that can go a long way. And the problem is with marketing though, it's hard to measure things, right? Like you'll have a strong correlation. Like if people just spend more that month, was it because of the free kitty Pryde, or was it because people love Guardians of the Galaxy? You know what I mean? Like why were they spending money, you know? So yeah, we'll see. And yeah, I don't think a free card every month. I never thought in a million years they would give any card away for free. I'm like, there's no way. With as stingy as they are with these cards, there's no way.
No, I agree. I thought that as well.
But hopefully they do. So do you think this made up for the issues with Kitty Pryde? Do you think this was good?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I would have liked a little bit more. Like the amount of ask the team questions that I saw, people being like, give us some kind of update. Like we're gonna like, it's like they're saying like, it's hard to like have like trust and stuff like that. And like, I think some of it's a little bit, too much, but it's true. Transparency is very important, between, the parent companies and any product of a community or whatever. And that does build trust, and I do think that they kind of dropped the ball a little bit on the lack of any information whatsoever up until last week, where they said, we'll have an announcement on Kitty Pryde this week, being yesterday. And if they would have said something a little earlier, maybe they were working out the details of when they could actually have this, but like just something, like just a little, they're all unanswered, no information whatsoever. They need to work on that a little bit, but otherwise, yes, I think everything else, the free Kitty Pryde, the refund to players, plus an extra little bit off the top, very nice step forward, very good for the community, and I think they knocked it out of the park. With
because you mentioned one of your Discord questions getting deleted. That's the one of mine that got deleted. I was freaking out. I was like, where did this go? And then I found out that like that's a thing. They do have in their like rules, like don't ask for a timeline on something or something like that. I'm just like, but
I didn't break any fucking rules.
They just don't like you. They're like, oh, who's this?
Oh, they deleted all of mine. Every single question I've ever asked is, even the ones that have been answered have been deleted.
Jeez, somebody's got it out for you.
Like, what the fuck? What did I do?
My whole thing is communication. Like, people would have chilled if they just said, hey, we're working on it. Hey, we haven't forgot about you, right? Like, I used to work in customer service, and I used to have a lot of anxiety as well. I made sure everybody was talked to, right? Like, if we had a long line when I worked in the car service industry, because how much do you hate when you just go somewhere and you're just straight up ignored? Right? Like you walk into a restaurant and it's busy and nobody says, hey, we'll be right with you. You know, just anything like that.
Yeah. I worked retail for 10 years, dude, as like a manager and shit. Fuck, never go back.
So
fuck, like if you're in retail right now, I appreciate you so much.
Right. Fuck I try to be so nice to those people, but yeah, so secondary, if they just would have given a message, because people were just getting heated up. But yeah, the compensation, it was so big. Hopefully it like released some of that pressure, and we'll see about this patch too. Cause I was like, this patch is going to be make or break time. So many people talking about like quitting the game and stuff. I saw a lot of people saying they were going to quit if they didn't change Galactus. I'm like, hey, they're not changing. I don't think they're changing Galactus anytime soon. I don't even think Galactus is a massive problem. He's just annoying, But yeah, I'm a fan. Let's wrap this up with one quick question. Quick thoughts. You and I both picked up Jeff today. What are your immediate thoughts with you playing around with him?
Cool. I played against someone that they had Daredevil out, right? And then middle lane, I had a Goblin there. And then they just go ahead. Also, I had a Goblin and a Blue Marvel in the middle lane. And like they saw me play Blue Marvel there. And then they, Professor X'd over it. And I was like, Jeff's in the flooded location right now. I played him on turn 4. Did you not read what the fuck the card does? I just move him over. Look at that. Cerebro 3. Fucking sick. I think he's cool with Cerebro 3. I think that's the deck he belongs in the most. I'm interested in trying out like a classic control deck with like Daredevil and stuff like that, Professor X, Storm, to be able to get into those locations if you end up falling behind for whatever reason. I think he's cool. I think he's a really fucking cool card. And I said in the video I made of him about a month ago that I think he is one of the few cards that I could argue for the 6,000 tokens being kind of worth it because of his flexibility alone. And I think I still stand by that. Especially if you have Cerebro 3 ready to go, like, and with Valkyrie dropping to Series 3, Bass dropping to Series 3, which I don't really play the version with Bass too much in my Series 3 deck, but yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. No, I do have. No, I have Bass. I'm sorry, I do. It's good. It's good to hit your Cerebro and your Mystique, but I cut Wasp. That was the thing. I cut Wasp. I think that was the weak thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's my quick thoughts on him. I'll tell you this. I played a couple dozen games with Jeff, few different decks. It was just extremely bad luck. It was just extremely bad luck, either not getting the draws, having to play him out, in just bad opportunities. I actually faced a lot of people who had Jeff, right? I saw it coming, and it was just situations where I couldn't do it. So, I don't have a fully developed opinion just because it was just one of those days where it was like, sorry, Jeff. But tonight, right as soon as we wrap up recording, I'm going to whip out a Cerebro 3 deck, toss them in there, because I love Cerebro 3. People are fans of Cerebro 2. I love Cerebro 3. Like, you can do some really cool stuff. So I'm going to play around with that. And, let's wrap this thing up. What you got?
Well, like we do every single episode, what do we have in store? What do we have in store? Hey, Chris, what you doing this week, buddy? What you working on? You got any cool products? Are you going to do any Legends of Runeterra videos? Or I've seen a few of those in the comment section of some of your videos, or at least in replies on some tweets, being like, hey, when we get in that. I know that might be a vocal minority of a couple people, but maybe you'll get some views and kind of you can pull a deck.
Thank you for asking, Brad. I don't know about this week specifically, but I do want to do some more variety content, and it's not just for Legends of Runeterra or anything like that. I'm a gamer. I'm a lifelong gamer, and there's so many cool games coming out, right? Like Jedi Survivor is coming out. I love that game. Do you play that? You play any Jedi?
No, I like Star Wars, but I'm more of a Republic Commando, Star Wars Battlefront.
Battlefront.
Kind of
my son and I were just talking about Battlefront. How I miss that. I miss that game.
No, I miss Republic Commando. That is my favorite one of my favorite games of all time. Star Wars Republic Commando. If you have not fucking played it, get it. If you have an Xbox, it is in the store as part of it's one of the backwards compatible original Xbox games that you can play. It is one of my favorite shooters of all time. It is so goddamn good. It's one of the few that has actually genuinely fairly intelligent AI, because it's like you have a squad and you can command them do stuff. If you've ever watched Star Wars Rebels, I think it might have been in the end of Clone Wars, or both, they do feature, and they have some of these characters that are in Republic Commando, being like Sev and like 46 or 46, 42. Forgot which one, but yeah, the awesome game.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that, so I'm going to look into it. This game cover looks kind of familiar, but yeah, I want to play some other games on my channel. And you know what? It really when I mentioned Legends of Runeterra, the amount of feedback I got from the audience, a lot of people like, oh my God, you're playing that now? And like, people have been giving me tips, and people are saying, oh, I'm going to reinstall it and stuff, but yeah, Snap still has my heart. Like I've been really trying to figure out just the comparisons, right? Just whether it's pricing, card acquisition, because even though all these games are the same, it's almost like apples and oranges too, right? It's very different. So, but anyways, I don't know if it'll be this week, but yeah, look forward to some variety content. How about you, Brad? What
we should do? What should we do, Chris? We should start a separate YouTube channel. I already got a perfect name for it too. Devil Boots.
Devil Boots? What's the second boot?
Yeah. I guess it's channel. Your boots and the Satan thing of my name, I guess. And just do some like other games like outside of like Snap and stuff like that. Like fucking like League or like Smite. I'll bring you into some Magic games and shit. We can do the movie podcast on there.
Oh yeah. I might be interested. And that's what I always wonder about YouTube too. Like, do you have to be very specific? Can you broaden out, talk about other things?
I think so. I think with particular channels, unless you've already built that audience for those type of content where it's very spread out. But oftentimes the ones that are very spread out are actually like real life stuff. like vlogging and like things like that, and they still kind of fit in some kind of niche there, or they're like the fucking prank videos and those kind of fucking things,
goofy things.
But yeah, but I always believed in the idea of like segregating your content to different channels, unless you are nothing but a full-time streamer and your VODs go on YouTube. That's a different thing. Like Ray from he used to be part of Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth does like all these kind of games and that kind of thing. Or like then there's like Call Me Kevin. By the way, one of my favorite creators as well.
Nice.
He's great. As far as content I'm working on, I have no fucking idea. I'm doing more shit of I did a poll recently where people asked like, what did you want to see for content like on YouTube? And a lot of them actually chose the it was almost 60%. It was like 58% of the votes were towards like the video essay type of theory crafting or like theory ideas of the game. So I'm going to do more of those. Going to work on one tonight or tomorrow regarding Kitty Pryde. And yeah, I don't know. Like I always have these big bursts of motivation to work on other things outside of Marvel Snap, but I'm like, I've already established my channel as being a bit more Marvel Snap. There's a couple of Magic videos on there where I did commentary with my co-host on Pioneer Perspective, Alex, over some games, which I think is kind of different. But I'd actually like to do that too. I'd love to do like commentary over Snap games. I don't know, maybe I had an idea. We got to host a tournament, Chris.
Oh, man. My dude, one of my best friends, my buddy who got me into Snap, he keeps telling me, here's the thing. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort. People got to like monitor. I don't know. Maybe, but if we did it, cause I keep telling my friend, I'm like, are you going to help? So if we can get a group of people, I'd be down, right? But if it's like a solo Chris act, not going to happen. But I will say this. I'm going to tell you this, Brad, cause Jay Hugs, one of our, fellow creators, he was talking about stuff in the tournament scene. He plays a lot of small tournaments and stuff. We do need more competitive Snap stuff. Like that is where my shit is. I like all that, talking to strategy discussions.
Season pass giveaways can be part of the prize support, right? It doesn't have to be like these fucking $1,000 ones, right? It can just be something, more community based. And I think that could be a great tool. And
how about people let us know?
I'll commentate.
People
for
let us
you.
know down in the comments. But no, I'd be down. I definitely want more competitive stuff covering specific tournaments and everything. So let's wrap this thing up. Where can people find you, Brad?
You can find me on Twitter and any other social media app you can think of at Bradcifer, BRADCIFER. Hey, Chris. I don't know. Where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at BootmanMSTZ. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you already found me. And down in the description is Brad's YouTube channel. So that way he can have some accountability to pump out some video essays.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'll have one out in a couple of days. But yeah, you guys are awesome. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for your support week in and week out. And let us know what you think about the episode. As always, what do you think about potential tournaments, other kinds of forms of content? What do you think about the extra YouTube channel with Chris and I doing some other random shit, maybe some pop culture stuff? I really just want to do the movie podcast. I love talking movies. My degree's in fucking cinematography, so I'm a big film guy. I'm not an asshole film guy. I'm not going to be like, the best movies are Citizen Kane and I only like Pulp Fiction. Those are great movies. I also really like Lawrence of Arabia. That's my most pretentious take. I like Lawrence of Arabia quite a bit. And I think that is the most pretentious thing of all of them. But I'd love to do that. But let us know what you think. And we hope you listen to us on the next one.
Peace.
See ya.